Let's talk burnout, whether that's Mounjaro burnout, life burnout, or diet burnout. Seems to be a lot of people are struggling these last 2 weeks. I'm smiling because I've just come back from the brink myself. If you're new here, my name is Ginger and this is my channel Ginger Goes GLP-1, where we talk about all things GLP-1, and in my specific case that's Mounjaro. Now, I've been on Mounjaro since the 1st of October 2024, so this is week 46 for me, and this is one of my midweek musings where I like to just expand on a topic a little bit, just really give you some of my thoughts around it. I'm not an expert in anything at all. I'm just somebody who's using Mounjaro and sharing my experience along the way. Like I said, I'm back from the brink. I had a terrible week last week. Thank you everybody for your very, very supportive comments. They really helped, and there were a lot of very good suggestions in there about different things that could be impacting on me or different things that might help. A lot of them I kind of was aware of, but it's always nice to read them because I think when you're caught up in that emotional turmoil and one more thing to think about, sometimes you can lose track a little bit. And there were some real gems in the comments. So if you're struggling with mood yourself, go through some of those comments because they ranged from a full moon, which I do believe impacts on mental health. Like I said, I used to work in mental health, and around a full moon, you ask any nurse in a hospital and they'll tell you. My cycle, I'm a postmenopausal, I think I'm postmenopausal, I'm almost postmenopausal woman. So I don't have a cycle anymore, but my hormones will still be fluctuating. As you all know, work stress has been pretty intense since March of this year. So that's March, April, May, June, July, 5 months, 6 months maybe even. We've been on a weight loss journey, so there's probably some undereating going on, and I'm as guilty of undereating as any of you are as well. I try and stick to my calories, but as you know, there are days when you can't eat enough, when you've taken your shot and you just feel that overwhelming suppression, like I can't eat anything at all. So there are probably days that have built up and I have undereaten. Well, I know I've undereaten because I've lost nearly 80 pounds, which I'm delighted about. I'm not going to complain about that. So, but it does add up, and you are, like I said, in that constant cycle of undereating. There are the expectations of weight loss and setting goals, whether they're achievable or not. There's disappointment that comes from not achieving those goals. There's disappointment from not hitting your target each week. For me, there's probably a little bit of shame or embarrassment. That's a big thing of mine. If I don't perform, then I think I'm letting everybody down, you guys included. Blood work. People had asked me, have I had my blood levels checked? I have. I'm apparently super healthy. Electrolytes, I do take electrolytes every single day. I do believe in electrolytes. I know that I am impacted by them because if I don't take them, I get really severe cramps in my legs, and I can get some palpitations, which can be like lack of potassium and sodium, I believe. I do take supplements, so those of you that were recommending supplements, and I'll talk more about what I've done since last week to add to that. Again, I'm not an expert, I am just sharing my journey and what I've done to try and build myself back up from the disaster that was last week, the mental disaster that was last week. Lack of sleep, so yes, that's one that impacts me. Too much caffeine. My bounce back from AIP was quite dramatic in the coffee front. So I've cut back on caffeine. Change is hard. Any kind of change is hard in life. And 46 weeks, when you commit to change, you are committing to carry that change forward. And it can be boring, annoying, frustrating, breaking all your old habits, introducing new things, doing things you don't want to do. So all of these things, like I said, I'm pulling these from the comments. They're not all things that I'm saying. Exercise, yes, I do exercise. I made a conscious decision not to exercise sort of in the last week to 10 days, I would say, because when you're feeling low, exercise can help. When you're potentially have burnout, exercising can be even more strenuous and can cause more problems. And I felt I wasn't benefiting from the exercise. I felt I was being depleted by the exercise, essentially. So you need to figure out, do you give in to how you're feeling, or can you power through? So for me, I feel like I've been trying to power through since probably April, May time. So obviously I got the news in March that these changes were going to be occurring. Was promised that they wouldn't impact on me until at least September. And then when I came back from my holiday in Chicago, and I'll come back to that in a minute, thank you very much Betty Boo and Jim McBob. I will talk about what they said. I think I've been fighting against it and trying to power through since May time and put a positive spin on it. Everything's going to be okay, until it wasn't. So there is a benefit to powering through, but there is also benefit to getting to a place and just accepting that you don't have that in you and maybe giving in just for a little while, which is what I did last week, which is hard to do sometimes because I had to accept that I wasn't just going to be able to get on top of this immediately. It wasn't something I could sort of bounce back from with a day or two. I was struggling. And if you've been watching lots of GLP-1 users, predominantly in the UK at the moment, there's quite a lot of people that are having a rough time. Feeling a bit burnt out, feeling a bit just lackluster or no motivation, overwhelmed, bit fatigued, some people saying exhausted. I questioned whether I should come off Mounjaro. I think that was probably a slight overreaction on my part. It was a slight knee-jerk reaction of like, oh my God, am I going to have to stop this? Which I really don't want to do. So I apologise if that came across as clickbait, as somebody said last week. It's not clickbait. I genuinely was worried and paranoid that I was going to have to come off this medication because I really felt I can't carry on the way I have been carrying on. But we're not there now. I did all of the wrong things last week. That was me just giving into it, accepting that I was kind of like on my way to maybe a bit of a rock bottom. And then once I hit that, then I was able to start building myself up. Now I'm not there. I'm not 100% there. And I'm not expecting anyone to bounce back within a week. But I have taken very, very good measures to improve my potential outcome going forward. And I'm feeling more positive. Hopefully you can tell I'm feeling a bit more upbeat and positive. What else was in the comments? Speak to my GP. So here in the UK, a general practitioner is your primary care provider. I had booked an appointment I waited nearly 3 weeks for an appointment to speak to my GP. And I've had that appointment today. And off the back of that, I spoke to one of the in-house mental health practitioners. Now, like I said, I know quite a lot about mental health. I worked in mental health for a long time. I'm not clinically trained, but I worked around it for 10, 12 years. So I'm quite savvy about those things, and I was able to talk to him sort of, like on an even level, and just to say, here's what I've done, here's all of the things that I've done and prioritised and things like that. And it was just nice to have that feedback from somebody else saying, have you tried this? Have you tried that? You need to stop doing this. You need to do more of that, which was really affirming. And it was really affirming in the sense that I am doing the right things, but he also told me just to take my foot off the gas for a little while and not let it fall to pieces, but just stop trying so hard. There's something called acceptance and commitment therapy, and part of that is just accepting I've got a problem at the moment. I've got a problem. I don't know what to do about it. I just need to accept that I have it and commit to making a change at some other time, essentially, which all fits in quite well. And it goes back to what I was saying, are you going to give in or are you going to power through? I've been asking myself the question sort of each day, is there something I can do today that's going to help me make my life a little bit easier? Or is there something that I'm doing that's making it worse? So scrolling on social media, like doom scrolling late into the night, not eating, drinking gallons of coffee. What else was I doing? Not really doing anything positive for myself, just lying in bed. Because I was just beyond exhausted last week. So all of those things didn't help. So this week it was more about what is going to help. So for example, I left my dishes. Some people would never leave dishes overnight. I live alone. So I left my dishes just on the side because to do them at night was just too much for me. Or if it's vacuuming, you're like, do you need to vacuum? Is that going to help you in the moment, or is it going to cause you more stress? It's little decisions like that. What will make me feel better? So for somebody, it would be doing the dishes. For somebody else, like me, not doing the dishes at night helped because I got up in the morning, and then when I was waiting for the kettle to boil, I did the dishes in the morning. You need to ask, what's going to help me right in this moment? And also, what's going to help me tomorrow? What's going to help me in the future? And it's striking that balance between them. So you don't want to push too much and you don't want to let too much go. Because if you're sitting in a mountain of dishes, we've all seen like hoarders' houses and, people that have just lost control of their home life. And I wasn't at that stage, but I was losing control of my home situation. I was just feeling overwhelmed with everything. And, I'm being vulnerable here and telling you about these things because I hope it will help somebody else. What I'm trying to say is you need to strike a balance. You need to work out what works for you, because what works for me doesn't work for you. What works for you doesn't work for somebody else. So it's finding your balance. And we're all doing the same on our Mounjaro. Whether you're split dosing or microdosing or doing like an accelerated schedule every couple of days, we're all making these little tweaks to how things are going to work better for us. And I think that's really important. And I think it is important to do your research, follow a couple of people, work out what's best for you, and, take responsibility for your own journey. I'm taking responsibility for my health, my mental health, what I'm putting out here. And I'm telling you, don't believe some 55-year-old lady sitting in her spare bedroom with a pink pair of lips behind her, extolling the virtues of, cleaning or Mounjaro or whatever. I'm just sharing my experience. You need to do what is right for you and what's going to work for you long term. And take advice from as many people as you can. And when I say advice, I mean our experience. Because we can't tell you medically, we can't tell you factually. We're not drug manufacturers. We're just sharing our experiences. Mounjaro is not a one-size-fits-all. There are going to be things that we all do differently, in the same way there's going to be reactions and side effects that we all have differently. We all know somebody that's had diarrhea on Mounjaro. We all know somebody who's had constipation on Mounjaro, or somebody that's had to go up a dose because it's not working, or somebody who's had to go down a dose because they're nauseous and, vomiting or whatever. It like I said, it's not a one size fits all. It's not a panacea. It's not the end of all your problems. Your problems are still there. And I think that's another thing that we have to be aware of, is I've lost a lot of weight. That has taken a huge mental load off me. But it hasn't solved all of my problems. It hasn't solved the reasons why I got overweight in the first place. It hasn't solved some of my emotional issues. It hasn't solved my work situation. So it's benefited me, it's helped me, but it hasn't solved everything. I think we all know this, don't we? So briefly, I'd like to come back to the comments section, and Betty Boo and Jim McBob. Both of them pointed out that potentially the catalyst of this, or something that fed into it, was when I was robbed when I went to Chicago. Day 2 of my trip, I lost $400. They stole my credit cards, everything. And you're absolutely right. That was an aha moment for me. And it was really good because I took the opportunity of starting from there and then coming forward and recognising that that had a much bigger impact on me than I had given it credit for. Because obviously you try and put like a positive spin on it, like, oh, well, I wasn't hurt, it's just money. But it was $400 in cash. It was like, I got the credit cards and everything back, but that was just like my throwaway money. And it was a disappointment to me. That was the ice in my glass, if you just heard that. It's the disappointment of that happening. So that feeds into the disappointment, and, changes is hard, and things don't always go the way that you want them to, expectations and things like that. We've got to keep this journey in perspective. We've got to give Mounjaro credit for what it can do, but not blame it for everything. It's not going to solve all of our problems. It's not the root of all of our problems. And we are going to have negative things happen to us while we're on this journey. I'm week 46. Of course there's going to be bad things happening. There's bad things happening all over the world. Mine are first world problems. Boo-hoo, poor me. But also, boo-hoo, poor me. I'm having a rough time at the moment. All pain is relative when it's happening to you in the moment. So I am not in a war-torn country or anything like that. But right now, I did hit a bit of a rock bottom. Anyway, what have I done to turn that around? Well, I've gone to see my GP. I prioritised my sleep and rest. I've stopped doom scrolling. I have increased my calories. I've stopped tracking. I've varied the foods that I've been eating. I delayed my shot by a couple of days last week. I've introduced high dose vitamin C to my diet just because I read something. That's not a recommendation. That's something I read myself. I've also introduced ashwagandha more regularly. Somebody said that to me quite a while ago for sleep. So I've been taking ashwagandha every night because it also helps with cortisol reduction. And I know I was pumping out cortisol like it was my body's job to provide it for the world. I stopped trying to power through. I just gave into it. I wrote last week off. Just like hit the bed, stuck to the bed, did all the wrong things, and then finally recognised, okay, right now it's time for me to get up and get on with it. I have been going to blue and green spaces. If you don't know what they are, green spaces are things like woods, forest, fields, moors. We've got a lot of moors down here in Cornwall. Wide open spaces, lots of greenery. Blue spaces are waterfalls, rivers, streams, oceans, lakes. So blue and green spaces. So I took myself off to the beach twice this week. Beautiful sunshine, does you the world of good. Getting into the ocean is absolutely brilliant for you. Went for a good old swim, although I had to go miles because the tide was so far out. It was nearly France before I hit water. So no guesses for where I am today. I decided to take myself out of the house because, I was getting too miserable there. And I figured I hadn't been to the beach in ages, so this would be a good time. If anyone's interested, I'm on Parr Beach in Cornwall. It's near St Austell. And it's a bit of a drive for me, but we used to come here when we had dogs back in the day, and we used to live in St Austell, but that was many moons ago. If you can, I can't see because how bright it is, but I can't see if it's picking up how far out the sea is, but you can just see little people quite a way away. But yeah, I like this beach because it is a dog-friendly beach. So there's loads of people here with their doggies. Just thought I'd bring you along so that you can see I'm trying to do what I can to improve my mood. Okay, so I don't know if you can actually see it or not, but about there, where my finger's touching, just there's like a pole sticking up. That's how far out I had to walk just about an hour ago to get to the water. But as you can see now, water's coming in fast. And then over here, just see if I can zoom in. There's loads of cool caves and coves that you can go into over there. There's some really good, they're not super deep, but they are caves that you can go into and have a look around. But yeah, just what a cool day. It really is. So all of these things, I've upped my supplements, just different ones that I take. I'm being more routine about those. I've eased off the caffeine after just reintroducing it. And I'm just prioritising what is going to be beneficial for me. So that's what I'm doing. I recommend you do the same if you're struggling. I've deprioritised weight loss and hitting all of my goals for the time being. I will still do a weigh-in on Saturday just because, I'm coming back to be accountable, but it's not the be-all and end-all for me at the moment. I've debated whether to do that or not, but I am going to do it because it is part of my weekly routine and I'm going to be weighing myself anyway. I mean, let's be honest. This has been a little bit of a ramble. I know it has. And I don't know if I've offered any solutions, just a kind of an overview of how things are for me, what I've been doing for me, how I've addressed it, different thoughts, comments that people have made. And I think that's what we all need to do, because I don't want anyone to hit rock bottom. It can happen to any of us, isn't it? I mean, mental health, crikey. And I think that's something I didn't want to admit, was that I was struggling, and I was struggling more than I wanted to admit, or more than I was prepared to show people. Some of you figured it out anyway. Some of you, as soon as I didn't post on Wednesday, were kind of reaching out, sort of saying, are you okay? Is everything okay? And thank you for that. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for all of the support. I really do appreciate it. I know a lot of us say, thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. It means a lot. It really does mean a lot, especially for me. I live on my own, and reading all of your positive words totally helps and gives me food for thought. And I know that you read other people's comments as well, because you comment on other people's comments as well. So there is a bit of a back and forth going. So we are a wonderful community. I am going to stop this now because I think it's going to be like 4 hours long by the time I edit it. I am okay, and I will be okay. I know this about myself. I know I will rise again. But I am coming through this, and I think that's why it's so important. And that's why I do share, like I said, the good, the bad and the ugly. That's why I am sharing this with you. Because it's nice to know. For me, it's normalising to know that other people are struggling as well. I'm not happy that they're struggling, but it helps me to know, it's not just me. I've also seen several other vloggers now, particularly UK vloggers, that are talking about the struggle. The struggle is real. The motivation, the frustrations, just the fatigue, the boredom, the monotony. I haven't felt bored. I felt overwhelmed. I felt a little bit like, oh gosh, it's another week and I lost 0.2 pounds or whatever it is, so there is always the pressure. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves. Ultimately, we're doing this to make ourselves into better versions of ourselves. And part of that is dealing with all of the other stuff that comes up along the way. And that's what I'm trying to do by sharing these midweek musings. As we know, a lot of people do not like these midweek musings at all, and are quite free with how they share that. Anyway, I'm going to continue to put them out because they do help people, and they do show that, life is full of ups and downs, good and bad, highs and lows, positives and negatives. And that's what all I want to share with you here, is just to let you know that this is happening for me and there are ways and means around it. If I was really depressed, I probably wouldn't be on here. So I know that what I had is a short-term acute stress reaction or chronic stress reaction. Can't say it. Chronic stress reaction that's just been building since March. And I've given into that. And by giving into it, by making all of those changes, by introducing all of the things that I have, I think I'm coming through it. And I think the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. It is daylight. And I'm headed towards that now. Coming out the other side with a new and more positive spin on it. And I am going to lose the weight. I'm not going to lose the weight in the time that I wanted to. And that's something that fits under the disappointment, and change is hard. Because we all want to hit our goals, don't we? But I haven't. And I'm okay with that. If you want to get your little miracle computer that sits in your hand and you Google weight loss burnout, it will tell you that there are feelings of being deprived, mental exhaustion, physical fatigue, emotional fluctuations, all or nothing thinking, and loss of motivation. And it is not the exception, it is pretty much the rule. So I think what I experienced was just a combination of all of life, weight loss, 46 weeks, etc. So overcoming it, recognise it and accept it, adjust your goals and expectations, incorporate diet breaks, seek support, focus on sustainable habits, prioritise self-care, diversify your diet and your activities, and practice mindful eating. So I can say I tick, tick, tick. I've done all of those things. And I think by being proactive about it, after a period of not being proactive about it, I was just bed rotting last week, which I think I needed. I've come through the other side. I'm not there yet. I've still got a long way to go. But hopefully I will be able to progress and make changes going forward, and I can continue to improve on this. That's my hope for myself. If you are struggling yourself, I suggest that you do reach out to somebody, whether it's us in the comments or your own GP, primary care practitioner, a loved one, a relative, a friend. You know, don't suffer in silence. There is help out there. And make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to keep yourself as healthy as you can. And if you do need to take a break from hardcore dieting for a little while, then do it. Because, you know, ultimately this is about improving our life, not taking away from it. And it's recognising at what stage you're in. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. I hope you have gained something from this. If not, then join me on Saturday. Maybe there'll be something there for you then. All right, take care. I'm going to leave it here. If you do have any questions, more comments, more questions for the Q&A. I probably need, like I said, a few more, and then I'll do the Q&A either this Saturday or next Wednesday, now that I'm back on track a little bit. Okay, I will speak to you as and when. Thank you very much and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.